Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial. Today we are going to be looking at one very cool and easy method that we can use to remove backgrounds from images in CorelDRAW. We are going to be looking at the trace bitmap option. We're going to be using the trace bitmap option to actually achieve this. What we want to do is for people that are having difficulty trying to create use a particular image for their design without the background, this is a tutorial that will help you achieve that. So the first thing we want to do is you're going to just create let's just have like a page, or you can just import your image. For me, this is the image this is the final result for me. If I put a background on this, let's say we double click on this and then we add a color to this, you can see that the background had you can see we did a pretty good job extracting the image from the background, right? So this is what we are going to try to achieve from the original image. So what we are going to do right now is to get an image. So I'm created a second page where I'm going to do this. I need my document bg remove, right? So I'll go to my pictures folder under my iStock and I'll get this picture. We'll just pull it, drag it into CorelDRAW and press P to position it at the center. You can make it bigger, you can leave it smaller, it doesn't really matter. So what we have here is this image. So you can see right here it has the background right with it, but what we're going to do by the time we're done, we're going to have it looking like this, right? So there are a couple of methods we are going to use in CorelDRAW, but we are going to take each video one method at a time so we can fully assimilate the particular method that is being taught in each tutorial. So for this tutorial, we're going to be using the trace bitmap. Now, CorelDRAW calls vector objects. CorelDRAW calls raster objects bitmaps. So when you bring in a raster object, that is an image that is made up of tiny square dots called pixels. In CorelDRAW, when you select this object, it tells you that it's a bitmap, right? It calls them bitmaps. So bitmaps, rasters, they are pretty much the same thing. And since we know they are made up of tiny dots called pixels, taking them out will not use the conventional methods we can use if we're working with vectors. So how do we do this if we want to trace? It's very simple. Tracing in CorelDRAW simply means converting. When you're tracing in CorelDRAW, you're trying to convert. So when you see trace bitmap, it means convert the bitmap to a vector object, right? Now, vector objects are objects that are made up of lines and curves. In CorelDRAW, when you trace a bitmap, you're simply converting a bitmap object or a raster object into a vector object. That means you're converting the points, the pixels, into lines and curves, into shapes, right? So we are going to do that, and in doing that, we're going to generate the shape that we're going to use to trim off the background, right? So the first thing you want to do is select the object, then go to your properties bar here, or you could go to bitmaps, and say, you can see trace, right? See quick trace, center line trace, outline trace. But let's just use the properties bar since it's easily accessible. So you click on the object, and under the properties bar you see trace bitmap. Now we can use quick trace, which will just do a very quick job of converting the object for us, but I wouldn't want to use that right now because of some certain limitations. Or we could try, let's just click on quick trace, it wouldn't hurt, and this is what we get. This is the result. It converts everything that we see from here in this original image to this, which is a combination of shapes, right? So you could actually ungroup this, and then you can see I can take out the background and we have the rest of the objects there. But the problem I have with quick trace sometimes is that while it does a quick trace, just like it implies, it does a quick job. So it is not it might not be very detailed and specific sometimes, and you might need a lot of corrections in order to get it right. But that doesn't mean it does a bad job. It actually does a very good job, pretty good job, but we're not going to use it for now, and we'll see why we don't use it. So select this, then go to the trace, click on the arrow, and then come down to outline trace, and here you are going to select, let's just select low quality image, right? So now with the quick trace, you can see now with the low quality image, you can see it has done a pretty good job of rendering the object, right? And you can see that there's this option here called remove background. So it does that automatically, so we don't have to delete the background by ourselves. It has already done that for us. So you can see there are some little details that we're missing. So if you want to increase the details, you could fire up the details a bit, and then you see some things will begin to appear. and then you could reduce the smoothing or increase the smoothing depending on what you want to achieve, and you could get some pretty nice results, right? And I think that's like I think that's it. Let's just say okay. So say okay here, and then we get our result. So let's pull the result out. So grab it and move it, hold control so it stays on a straight line, and then bring it out here. And then just do like a zoom in. You will see there's a little snippet of background still left, right? So click on this and we could ungroup this, and then click on it and delete this. And there is a little bit of brown on the hair. If you want, you could take that out, but I think it's connected to the skin, so we could maybe introduce a different method, like say this. Let's set a place for cutting it out. So we use this to cut it out. Let's do this and hold shift, select the shape and use your trim, right? So it does that for us. So you can see here. So let's zoom out again. So I think there's also a bit of white around the ears here. So if you click there, you see that there's a background there, and there's another small one here. But we're not going to delete that yet, and I will show you why in a minute. So let's still leave them. These two backgrounds we have here, this one and this white one here, we are leaving them for now. So we're going to do this. We are going to select the whole image and go to the properties bar and locate the last option there called the create boundary. So with this, we're going to create a shape around it. So if I move this out, you see that there is a shape around, right, the whole object. So let's undo that. Now the reason why I left those two boxes, those two background areas, this I need to select the white there in the background area. So I'll hold alternate and click on it since it's behind the new shape I generated. And then let's just give it a different color. Let's give it like black, and let's send it to the front. So do shift page up, so you can easily select it. Come here and hold alternate as well and click on this side for the small one. Do shift page up to send it to the front, and also color it black. So now we are going to select that one, select this other one, and then select the outline we created, and we are going to do back minus front. Since we want to keep the back object, but we want to subtract the areas where these black objects are, and these black objects are actually in front of the outline. So if you click back minus front, it's going to delete all those areas. So here we have shape just generated, and here you can notice something. If you notice something, you see that the phone is not it didn't select properly. So that's not a problem, we can always correct that. So let's just select our shape we created, grab this, move it, hold control or shift, and then move it to where the shape is, and let's zoom in and try to fit it perfectly. So we'll move it with our arrows. I think now it's sitting perfectly. Excuse me. But if you look at the phone area, you notice that there is a little part of the phone missing. It was assumed or supposed to be part of the background, so that was a mistake. So you could grab any tool, like you could grab the B-spline tool, right, from under the freehand tool. You could grab the B-spline and just click from here. Just try to generate that area where the rest of the phone is, and like this, and join it, and then select that one, hold shift, select the other shape we've created already, and use the weld option to join everything together. So now we have this, and I think there's this small area under the arms that should go. You can still use the B-spline to draw that area. So if you just click here, 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 and join it. And we will do the back minus front again. So select it, hold shift, select the original shape, and do back minus front. Yeah, so we've deleted that area. So now that we have this, I think we have the outline of the shape of the image perfect, right? So now it's time to intersect. So we select the original outline we made. Don't worry, just click on it. If you click on it, it's going to select. Then hold shift, click on our original image with the background, then go back to your properties bar again and locate the intersect option, right? And just in case you did not notice, I selected the shape first, then used held shift and selected the image and the background, right? So because I want to use the shape to intersect the image, that's the way it goes. You have to select the shape first. So now click on intersect and it generates the image for me. So if I move this out, I can hold shift or I can leave that. You see we have the image intersected. So right now you could delete everything from here and you have your image. But we just need to do one last thing to make sure this is permanent. We go to our effects and say flatten effects, or do bitmaps and crop bitmap, but it's no longer active, right? So because we flattened it already. So right now this is our image. So if you drop a background, say you drop an orange background, drop this background, you see it's almost perfect, right? Some would even say it's perfect. I mean, look at the hair, so nice. And the reason for that is because we use when we were tracing it, we use the center line, we use the outline trace, and we use the low quality or high quality image. Anyone you want to use is better, right? And those ones will help you create the roughness. From the settings, you could increase the roughness or smoothness, so it could give you more random, lines around the edges, so you could get something really, really perfect for your cutout, right? So this is just a perfect example of how you could generate a background using your trace bitmap, right? And this is just a combination of shapes. You don't need them anymore. You could delete this. And then we have this. So okay, now if you enjoyed this video, do well to leave a like and drop a comment. And if you have any questions or anything or any requests, you could always drop them under the comment section and I'll reply you. And do well to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss any videos that I'm going to be dropping subsequently. All right.